Here on the College Football 360 YouTube channel, I try and cover college football from every single angle, not just power rankings and reactions, though we do plenty of that stuff on here, but I love to cover off the field issues as well. For example, I recently made a video covering every change I would make to the college football landscape. Go watch that video. In today's video, I'll be giving you guys my first round NFL mock draft using my knowledge as a guy who covers college football and someone who enjoys keeping up with the NFL as well. I will go through each pick and give about a 30-second to a minute explanation of the pick, and at the end of the video, I will show some stats from my mock draft. I encourage all to stay to the end of the video, and without further ado, let's just dive right in. So just as a notice, I did not do any trades or trade any straight up in what it is currently. So pick number 1, I have Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans. Ward was an absolute stud at Miami, and I think is a match made in heaven for the Titans. You look at what the Titans have done in free agency, signing offensive lineman Kevin Zeitler and Dan Moore, and more importantly, they did not pursue a quarterback in free agency, and there were a lot to choose from in free agency with the amount of cap that the Titans had. They just did not pursue a quarterback at all. So that leads me to believe that they will take Ward with the number 1 overall selection. Pick overall number 2, Travis going Browns. If the Browns don't get the option to select Ward, then I think the Travis Hunter is the only logical choice here, as he is far and away, in my opinion, the best player in this draft. His ability to be elite at both corner and wide receiver makes him a top target for literally, I think, every team. Of course, only a select few can have the opportunity to draft him. And the way the Browns are set up, they don't need Hunter to be a number 1 wide receiver or a corner right now, and they can ease him into both of those roles. They don't need him to step up right away and catch 10 balls a game and be out there on an island every single game. They can ease him into those roles, which I like. Overall pick number 3, I have Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants. In my opinion, this is a bit of a reach for a guy like Shedeur, but I do not blame the Giants at all for taking Shedeur here with his elusiveness and rocket of an arm. The Giants need a young quarterback in this building fast, and they should not be taking any chances here whatsoever. They need to get a guy in that building right now to help save that franchise and help save some of those jobs in the front office. Keeping a guy like Malik Neighbors happy, because you really want everyone in that building to stay optimistic and happy, and I think that you can do that getting a big splash here with Shedeur Sanders. Overall pick number 4, edge, New England Patriots. Edge might not be a number 1 need here for the Patriots, but at 4, Carter fell into the Pats' lap. He is a stud. He's used to playing in cold weather, coming from Penn State, and is an absolute force, directly comparable, in my opinion, to Micah Parsons. The Pats could have gone in different places here, definitely, but I think that this new Mike Vrabel team is going to try and make splash plays unlike the Pats of recent years, and what a better way to do that than get a guy who has the potential for a 15-plus sack years, multiple 15-plus sack years ahead of him. At pick number 5, I have defensive lineman Mason Graham going to Jacksonville Jaguars. Interior D-line is a huge priority for the Jags, and Mason Graham is hands down the best one in the class. So logically, it would follow that the Jaguars should take Mason Graham if he's available right here. I can see them taking corner here with a guy like Will Johnson, who we will get to very soon, trust me. But the Jags D last year, especially run D, was a source of weakness, and what a better way of righting that ship than to get a 3-down, star-in-the-making defensive tackle ready to make an impact instantly. At pick number 6, we have wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan going to the Las Vegas Raiders. T-Mac is hands down the best receiver in this class, and the new-look Pete Carroll Raiders will be a force with Geno Smith at the helm and McMillan at wide receiver 1. Now, the question is if they can run the ball, but either way, I love this fit, and the Raiders take advantage of the Pats passing up on him. At pick number 7, we have tackle Will Campbell going to the New York Jets. This seems like a slam dunk pick for the Jets. They got Justin Fields in free agency to be QB1, and they add the undisputed best tackle in this draft class, an absolute monster tackle from LSU, that being Will Campbell, of course. The Jets have had in recent history terrible tackle play, as it has hurt quarterback production from players such as Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. Not saying that they would have performed eons better than they already did, but a capable O line and especially capable tackles, maybe their tenures with the Jets would have been a little bit more productive, but I digress. Either way, it would still be a great pickup here for the Jets. At pick number 8, corner Will Johnson goes to the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers strike gold here, getting a true number 1 lockdown corner here at 8. They definitely, excuse me, they do have plenty of other needs, but I think corner here is the correct move, especially when you get a guy like Will Johnson, screams Jalen Ramsey to me. And they're adding another piece to a Panthers team that, with the continued maturity of Bryce Young, can be a surprise contender in the NFC. At pick number 9, the first shocker here, wide receiver Matthew Golden goes to the New Orleans Saints. Like I said, this is the first surprising move here in this mock draft. I have not seen this mocked before, but I think it's a great fit that the Saints take Matthew Golden with their top 10 pick. Is it a risk? 100%. But Golden has one of the highest upsides as both a returner and a wide receiver in this class. Pair him with Chris Olave, and the Saints could have a very scary playmaking duo in the works. Golden's splash play ability is what the Saints need, with really only having Olave at wide receiver and really no one else besides Alvin Kamara on the offense. At pick number 10, we have tackle Armand Membo going to the Chicago Bears. This is not a sexy pick here at all, but the Bears are committing to protecting Caleb Williams as they short up as they short up the interior in free agency. Membo, the tackle from Missouri, adds the final piece to a now very good O line for the Bears, at least on paper. Let's hope that they can keep protecting, well, at least start to protect Caleb Williams, as he was knocked around a lot in his first year and really prevented him from making a lot of plays. And I think with getting a guy like Membo and the free agents that they have acquired, I think that they're really set to do that. At pick number 11, we have edge rusher Shamar Stewart going to the 49ers. The 49ers need a lot of help at really every single defensive position, so the best way to get started is getting the best player available, and they grab linebacker dash edge rusher Stewart coming from Texas A&M as an all-around athlete and a cornerstone for the new era, a new retooling of 49ers football. Shamar Stewart, off the charts athleticism, and really is a leader on the field. So I think that he can really help out this 49ers team right away. Ashton Jeanty goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Y'all could see this one coming from a mile away. Jeanty wants to play in Dallas. The Cowboys have an urgent need for a dynamic running back, match made in heaven for me at least. Meaning the Cowboys, tried to go the whole year really last year without a true running back number 1 last year, and it cost them dearly. They went 7-10. They weren't relevant at all. They weren't very good either, and they were terrible at running the ball. No surprise. So at 12, they pick up Jeanty here and shore up the running back position for years to come, much like they did with Ezekiel Elliott. At pick number 13, we have guard Tyler Booker going to the Miami Dolphins. Booker, only interior O lineman even remotely worth a first round selection, as it seems that there are no really decent interior defensive linemen in this draft. There's one other, and we'll see him later on in the video. I don't want to spoil it, so watch till the end, of course. The Dolphins have an urgent need for one here, as they get one of the best ones right here in Booker, coming out of Alabama, where he excelled as both a run blocker and a pass blocker. At pick number 14, tight end Tyler Warren goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Again, an immediate need with a generational talent falling right into place as the Colts take the undisputed tight end number 1. Warren is, in my opinion, the best tight end prospect to really come out since Kyle Pitts came out of Florida and, he went to the Falcons. I love this fit, but I am worried about the quarterback situation in Indianapolis. We will see how it plays out, but either way, Tyler Warren coming from Penn State will be a welcome addition to the Colts here, as they have not that many tight ends on their roster right now, and certainly no good ones. At number 15 here, pick number 15, edge rusher James Pierce Jr. goes to the Atlanta Falcons. Speaking of those Falcons that we talked about earlier, they've replaced edge rusher Matt Judon with another absolute stud here in James Pierce from Tennessee, a dominant pass rusher here who will be the cornerstone for this D-line for years to come. He's young. They have him for 4 to 5 years. I think he'll be an absolute stud with the Falcons, and they've really been missing a dominant edge rusher these past couple years. And even when they had Judon, he wasn't the same either. So I think that the addition of James Pierce Jr. is a welcome one indeed. At pick number 16, halfway there, we have edge rusher Michael Williams to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have spent enough time and resources on the offense in past drafts and whatnot, and now they shift their focus to loading up the defense. Williams is an extremely athletic edge rusher with tremendous upside coming out of the best program in college football, that being the Georgia Bulldogs, of course. He may not be dominant right out of the gate like how Abdul Carter or Shamar Stewart, even James Pierce will, in my opinion, but Williams provides enough upside to be a first round selection here. And I want to remind you guys as we are halfway through the video, if you like the content, please like the video. And I'm asking you, please subscribe to the channel as well. Not many people do it. We've looked at the numbers on the channel. Over 70% of you that watch these videos do not subscribe. So even if we got 20% of that, I'd be extremely grateful and extremely happy. If we can get to 500 here very soon, I'd be extremely happy. And I'm happy for you guys to join this channel here as we continue to grow and expand as well. Moving on from that real quick plug right there, at pick number 17, we have edge rusher Nick Scorton going to the Cincinnati Bengals. With all the additions on the offense and the money spent on the offense, the Bengals desperately need defensive players and in great quantity. Add to the fact that Trey Hendrickson may possibly leave very soon, the Bengals need to get some consistent pressure on the quarterback other than Hendrickson. Skurton may be a reach here, in my opinion, but the Bengals cannot sit around and wait as the run on edge rushers continues. So they go out there, they swing at an edge rusher here, and they get Nick Scorton. At pick number 18, we have tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. going to the Seattle Seahawks. The Mike McDaniel-led Seahawks need a guy to protect Sam Darnold as they get a physical one here from Texas at 18. They have a desperate need for a tackle, and they go out and pull the trigger on a high upside player here in Banks. He is big, he is physical, needs a little refinement to his game, but I digress. I wasn't an O lineman in high school, and I think that this is a very solid pickup here for the Seahawks. Okay, at pick number 19, we have safety Nick Emanwari going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The safety out of South Carolina has tremendous upside and is, in my opinion, one of the true wild cards in this draft. I think he's an awesome fit for the Bucs here as they need some help in the secondary, and he's also great in run D as well, so that is an added plus. Emanwari has shot up boards. I really didn't take notice of him here until his senior season. One of the main reasons why South Carolina was so great on defense, and I think honestly would be a perfect fit for him to stay in the South with the Tampa Bay Bucks. At pick number 20, linebacker Jalen Walker goes to the Denver Broncos. Another Georgia linebacker off the board here, as the Broncos could go in a number of different directions, but I think that they're pretty good on offense, and I see a potential weakness on defense at linebacker. So here at 19, the Broncos get a reliable, hard-hitting linebacker ready to go day one. At pick number 21, defensive tackle Derek Harmon goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are a true mystery team, as I really had to struggle going in which direction in this mock draft. They still have yet to figure out the quarterback position. I debated going with Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart, but I think it is just too soon for those players here at the overall pick number 21. Perhaps if they trade back, then that could be a very smart move, but if they stay put here at 21, I love the fit with Derek Harmon, a no-nonsense, hard-hitting defensive tackle, not afraid to get his hands dirty, exactly a player like what Pittsburgh is used to. With Cam Hayward getting to the end of his career and slowly losing snaps, a pairing of Harmon and Benton and getting rotated in with Cam Hayward and learning from Cam Hayward could be lethal with the edge rushers that the Steelers have. At pick number 22, tight end Colston Loveland goes to the Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh does not pass up a chance to get one of his former studs from Michigan. Loveland may not have had the explosiveness of Tyler Warren or the star power, but he is a tough, physically imposing tight end who has plus speed and hands and route running. Adding to that, couple this with an immediate need for a decent tight end in the Chargers offense, and we have a perfect match here with Jim Harbaugh and one of his former players in Colston Loveland. Here at pick number 23, wide receiver Luther Burden III goes to the Green Bay Packers. The Packers need some help here at wide receiver, and they get it in a big way. The explosive Missouri product Luther Burden, much like Matthew Golden, Burden displays killer speed and route running ability that the Packers desperately need. And they desperately need some wide receiver help in that room. It's been headed by a lot of young guys, a lot of frequently injured guys, and I think Luther Burden is the right fit here. At pick number 24, safety Malachi Starks goes to the Minnesota Vikings. One of the only holes on this well balanced Vikings roster is at safety, and they get a good one here with Malachi Starks. The Georgia product has shown flexibility to play multiple positions in the secondary and is a sure good fit with the Vikings, in my opinion. At pick number 25, tackle Josh Simmons goes to the Houston Texans. The Texans need as many offensive linemen as they can get, and they get a versatile one here with Josh Simmons from Ohio State as he has played both guard and tackle in his career. They need a lot more than one guy, but you got to start somewhere, and you have to protect CJ Stroud. That was the main reason why they didn't go all the way last year. They definitely could have made a lot more damage in the playoffs and in the regular season, but CJ Stroud cannot do much when he's on his ass all the time. So, you need to get CJ Stroud off of the turf, and you need him throwing the ball down the field, and you need to give him time to do that. And they get a guy to give him some time here in Josh Simmons. At pick number 26, corner Siobhan Revell goes to the Los Angeles Rams. Siobhan coming out of ECU may be a surprise for the casual fan that has not really paid attention, but he is a darn good corner that I think the Rams can make use of. He was highly touted as one of the best corners of the class even before the season started and broke out in a big way early in the season, snagging a couple interceptions in just a couple of games and a pick six to go with that as well before tearing his ACL about 4 or 5 games into the season. He had a monster 2023 campaign as well, which brought him national attention from different scouts. The size, length, and ball skills are all a huge advantage, and he will be needed in the Rams secondary. I think that he is a player much like Jalen Ramsey, a true number one shutdown corner. At pick number 27, we have guard Gray Zabel going to the Baltimore Ravens. This was the other guard I was talking about earlier when we were talking about Tyler Booker going to the Dolphins. You have guard Gray Zabel coming out of North Dakota State. He immediately slides into a starting guard spot for the Ravens as their offensive line gets bigger and meaner. Zabel's experience as tackle as well makes him extremely versatile, and he just looks like a Ravens player, big, mean player that is not afraid to get his hands dirty as well. So I think that this is a good fit and a good need here for the Ravens. There wasn't that many players on the board that I think were positions of need for the Ravens or just players that the Ravens would take. So I have guard Grace Bell going to them. At pick number 28, edge Donovan Izaraku goes to the Detroit Lions. The Lions get a good one here, edge rusher to pair with Aiden Hutchinson, which was desperately needed. Hutchinson gets a lot of double teams, and Izaraku will instantly help with that as well. While Donovan does need to work on defending the run and playing first and second down, he excelled at Boston College in rushing the passer, and Dan Campbell can work with this raw talent like this. At pick number 29, linebacker Jahad Campbell goes to the Washington Commanders. The Commanders ideally will take an edge rusher with this pick, because they're in desperate need of one. But with already 7 or 8 edge rushers already off the board, it is not worth reaching for anyone else at edge when they have other needs. Perhaps they trade up if necessary, which I didn't do any trade up or downs. If I was doing that, I would have probably had the Commanders trade up to get a guy. But like I said, I didn't do any trades this one. But I think that the next biggest point of weakness is at linebacker. You have an old Bobby Wagner on a 1 or 2 year deal, and really not that much else. Campbell's coming from Bama, and he gives you a fresh, young, and talented option to ease in there and play alongside an All-Pro type of player in Bobby Wagner. So I think that these are all great fits and reasons why I think that the Commanders in this position should get Jahad Campbell. At pick number 30, we have corner Jahdae Barron going to the Buffalo Bills. Barron at Texas has played in the biggest of games against the biggest of players, and he has played and thrived against the best of the competition. Playing for the Bills, it does not get any easier, but Barron is a battle-tested and physical player at corner and will be a perfect addition to the Bills after they traded Kaiir Elam, who was a liability anyway. At pick number 31, defensive tackle Walter Nolan goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. I personally love Walter Nolan as a prospect, and I think he is being slept on as a prospect. He's a guy exactly like Chris Jones who can play the run, clog up gaps, and rush the passer. He's a 3-down type of player. Kansas City here gets its future at interior defensive line here with Walter Nolan coming out of LSU, not LSU, excuse me, Ole Miss. And now with the last pick in the draft, edge rusher Mike Green goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles do not have too many needs, so what is one more defensive lineman? Am I right? All jokes aside, they can afford to get a guy like Mike Green out of Marshall because they really don't have any needs, like immediate needs that they need to get. He is uber talented, but hasn't faced great competition, which is why this is a really a bit of a reach here. The Commanders had other issues, which is why I don't think that they could have should go and get a guy like Micah Green, because Mike Green is slated to be a mid-second round pick. But I think the Eagles here, you know, I think that they can risk getting a guy like Mike Green. Like I said, uber talented, but hasn't faced a lot of great competition and is still a rough product out there on the field. But you put him in that Eagles defensive line factory machine, and I think that he'll come out pretty darn well. But wait, stay here because we have some stats coming out as it pertains to the college football side of things here. We talked a lot of NFL, so let me give you some stats on the college football side of things for this NFL mock draft. A lot of people say that the mark of a good college football program is how many guys you're getting into the NFL. While we can't encapsulate all of that here in this video, as this was just a first round mock draft, we can still look at where the elite talent is going and where it is coming from. Now, in terms of schools who have the most, this is a very spread out. There's not like 7 players from Georgia or anything like that. But let's start off with Georgia. There are 3 teams that have 3 different players in this draft, that being Georgia, Michigan, and Texas. Now, schools that have 2 players in this mock draft, that would be Texas A&M, Alabama, Colorado, Missouri, and Penn State. Now, you guys can't see all the names for the teams that have 1 player in, but there are a lot. Let me just read them out to you. Miami, Tennessee, Arizona, North Dakota State, Eastern Carolina, Boston College, Ole Miss, Marshall, South Carolina, Boise State, LSU, Oregon, and Ohio State. Now, by conference, the G5 has 4. I threw in North Dakota State there. I know they're in the FCS, but I like to round up. The Big Ten has 7 players. The SEC has half of the players in this draft with 16. The ACC has 2, and the Big 12 has 3. So I want to thank you guys so much for staying to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. If you could just do a couple more things for me, I have 2 questions for you for the comments down below. But first, make sure to subscribe. Like I said, about 70% of you guys who have listened in the past month or so have not subscribed to the channel. If we can get that number down to 50%, I would be really happy with that. So help break the trend and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share the video around as well. And my 2 questions for you for the comments down below, and I interact with pretty much every single comment. So I really want to hear your thoughts. Number 1, what is your NFL team, and who would you like to see them draft? Or it is open-ended. It can be a player who would you like to see them draft, or what position would you like to see them draft and why? Excuse me. The second question being, what is your college football team, and who from that graduating class do you think has a chance of making it to the first round? And I'll tell you what I think. Of course, if you're a fan of Michigan, then you already got a great chance of that. But if you're a fan of Ohio State, Emeka Ibuka, fringe first rounder, Josh Simmons, fringe first rounder. So there can be a lot of debate that happens there with that question as well. But I really encourage you guys to get to that comment section either way. You don't have to answer either of those questions. You can just make a comment, a general comment if you want. And really, that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.